Hello, welcome. This is the global community for adults who are healing CPTSD. And this is a place where we have all been coming weekly for about 9 years now. And we meet up on a weekly basis. We check in with one another. And we share here. We share what's been working for us and what hasn't been working for us on our healing journey. If you're here for the very first time and you've just clicked on this video, I want to warmly welcome you to our community. You are welcome to come here and join us. We're here on Mondays, 7 p.m. Eastern, US. And we have been doing, for the last couple years now, we've been doing a meditation, doing some affirmations. And this past year, we've woven in a healing strategy and some breath work. So it is such an honor to heal right beside you. I'm here as your peer. I'm here just sharing just my process and also welcoming you into this sacred, safe space where you can feel seen and heard within the context of safety. I'm going to pause and warmly welcome those who are here for our live discussion in the chat box. Hello, warm welcome to you, Jeffrey Sherman, John Harvey, Nadine. Hello, Aries Athena. I'm meeting you for the first time. I'm waving hello to you back. Hello, warm welcome to you, Jennifer and Kate and Craig. Hello, Midnight Blue. Always so good to see you. Hello to you, Herbert Preston. Hello to you, fellow traveler. Am I meeting you for the first time? Hello, Z. Always so good to see you. So good to see everyone. I'm so grateful. A very special thank you to our Blue Wrench crew, our amazing team of volunteers and moderators that do their very best to keep the chat stream a safe enough place for us to arrive and just be. We just get to come here and be. So we're going to prepare for our time together. I want to invite you at this time to do what you need to do to get very, very comfortable. So, as always, I will describe for you my setup. I'm sitting in a slightly different spot than I usually do. I'm in my workspace. I do have some water nearby, and what I want to do is go grab a pillow to support my posture. I like to sit when I'm here doing my breath work with you. I like to sit with my spine strong and my heart space and my belly soft so that I can feel both polarities, the strength of my spine supporting me and the softness of my heart space being open and vulnerable, and my belly as well, so that we can do some breathing together. So as I go and walk and grab a pillow to support my posture, I want to invite you to check in with one another if that's something that you feel like doing, and also maybe grab some water or a pillow to support your posture. And if it feels helpful and supportive, share how you're feeling in the chat stream. I'll be right back in just a moment. Okay, A warm welcome to anyone else I haven't greeted by name. Hello, Angela. Great to see you. Here we go. We're going to begin our breath work. And for those listening on a replay, if you want to pop down in the comment section, you can let everyone know that our breath work is beginning at 8 minutes past the hour or 5.5 minutes into the video. We're going to do some box breathing. We're going to breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, breathe out for 4 counts, and we're going to do this together 4 times. Ready? Inhale in 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Breathe out, 3, 2, 1. Again, on your own. Again. Last time. Inhale in 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. How did that feel for you? I got to have a little yawn on that one, but an interesting thing happened. My ears popped, which doesn't normally happen. I hope that was nourishing for you. We are going to, Z got a big yawn. Oh. Yes, Kate, I get excited for the yawn too. It means that we're co-regulating, our nervous system feels safe. Yes, me too, Aries Athena. Aries Athena says, I didn't realize how much I was clenching my jaw. I know, right? Oh, I got a second yawn. That's awesome. Craig says, I am taking thoughts, free hugs, and not letting go as long as I can. I am sending you thoughts and free hugs, Craig. Midnight Blue says, I do the jaw clenching thing too. Yeah. Ooh, I like that, Kate. Kate says, I always try to drop my tongue from the roof of my mouth. Yeah. So here we go. We are going to begin tonight with our affirmation, and then we will have our healing strategy. We have a recap, and we're sitting with the emotion. We're embracing the emotion of sadness tonight. We're going to recap all the other emotions. And then we will have our nourishing meditation with Morgan Harper Nichols. So here we go. This is our affirmation from Lisa A. Romano's free meditation app titled Loving the Self. Lisa says, I know that every journey begins with a thought, a decision to take that journey. Today, I decide to think thoughts that remind me to stay committed to honoring the journey that will lead to myself, in spite of possibly having not so pleasant moments along the way. A large part of my healing journey will be learning how to embrace the not so good with the really, really good. No more running away from my feelings. And this is the best part, you guys. If you have been afraid to feel your feelings or have been running away from your feelings, you get to try again if that's something you're open to. Tonight's theme is beginning again and again. We get to begin again as often as we need to. That is one of the most beautiful parts about this healing journey. So, in our healing strategy that we've been having this past month with Dr. Arielle Schwartz, this is from her book titled A Practical Guide to Complex PTSD. And Arielle says, often depressive symptoms arise because we have suppressed difficult emotions. This healing strategy, which is divided into two parts, focuses on helping us to recognize and express our emotions. The first part involves recognizing our feelings when they arise. And this is especially important if our emotions were ever dismissed or disregarded in our childhood, and if as a result we have ever felt numb or cut off from our emotions. Somatic psychology teaches us that we can learn to recognize emotions by focusing on bodily sensations. For example, we might notice that we feel tightness in our chest when angry, or we may feel a lump in our throat when sad, or we may feel a contracting inward during times of shame. It may require a practice of checking in with our body before we start to make connections between our sensations and our emotions. In addition to building our own body awareness or somatic awareness, it is valuable to have another person, such as a trained therapist, to participate in this step with us. This other person can help us to recognize the subtle shifts in our facial expressions or our body language that can help us tune in to our feelings. So we can explore our emotional self-awareness by bringing to mind a memory that may have been a difficult memory or a memory of a difficult event. Notice any changes in your bodily sensations when you recall this memory. What do you imagine you may have been feeling during that difficult event? See if you can draw a connection between areas of tension in the body regarding the event and maybe your emotions about that event. Suppressing our emotions can worsen our depressive symptoms. So this next part of our healing strategy that we've been focusing on the last few weeks, it involves holding space. We're giving space to and listening to and honoring and expressing our feelings. So let's take a closer look at what we've been focusing on the last few weeks, and then we'll also talk this week, today, about another emotion. So a few weeks ago, we sat with and held space for anger. And then a couple weeks ago, we talked about fear and we held space for fear. Last week, we sat with and glanced at and we honored shame, and we spoke to ourselves in a very kind and loving way. And then today, we're going to embrace and hold space for any unexpressed feelings of hurt or sadness that we've had. Okay? So, anger, a few weeks ago, as we sort of do a recap, do you remember a few weeks ago when we were talking about how sometimes depression or depressive symptoms are often described as anger turned inward? So the benefit of feeling and expressing our anger is that this emotion can give us the energy we need to free ourselves from any depressive symptoms that we might be having. So when we sense our anger, we might notice a feeling of tightness in our chest and our arms, or we might notice a surge of energy in our belly or legs. When we embrace our anger in a healthy way, it might look like giving voice to any previously unexpressed feelings we had of betrayal or hurt or rage that we might never have ever experienced to someone who, we didn't express those feelings to someone who was abusive or neglectful. So suddenly, when we do this, we might have energy to start exercising, or we might be able to direct our anger into the completion of a project. When we exercise, this boosts our mood, and when we decide to complete a house project or a work project, this can increase our self-esteem. And this is the best part about anger when it's expressed in a healthy way. Anger is also an emotion that redirects our energy towards self-protection. And this can help us to define our boundaries and communicate our needs assertively. So a couple weeks ago, we also sat with and glanced at and held space for any unprocessed feelings of fear. Feelings of fear can look like trembling or shakiness or even a sense of being frozen. Sometimes we think that fear will just go away if we ignore it. However, suppressing our fear tends to reduce access to our vitality, which can exacerbate these depressive symptoms we get with CPTSD, like feeling stuck, like we can't function at work or function at home. Fear, like all emotions, needs to be felt so that we can access our courage. Sometimes we might feel fearful when remembering a frightening time from our past, and then other times we might be reacting to a threat that's in our current environment. So if the fear we are feeling is from the past, we can always use our breath to find our courage. The breath is always a bridge back to the body. and we can locate our courage. Feel your body, knowing that you can choose to come in and out of contact with this emotion anytime. Remind yourself that you are safe now. And if the feeling of fear is connected to your present circumstances, this emotion, fear, can help us to courageously recognize any danger that surrounds us. And we can make changes in our life right now to leave that danger. And last week, this is a big one, especially in our community. Last week, we held space for and glanced at and we honored the emotion of shame. And remember, shame is a wound of not belonging. And just by being here in this community, you know that you belong. Hopefully, over the past several years, some of you have been with us for 9 years. Hopefully, you've been able to experience a sense of belonging. Unexpressed feelings of shame feel like we don't belong anywhere. And this emotion of shame, it carries the burdens of rejection and humiliation and betrayal. So shame can lead us to mistakenly believe that we may have been at fault for the things we've been through. But shame often fuels depressive symptoms. We were not at fault. We might feel an urge when we are in a place of shame. We might feel an urge to isolate ourselves and hide from the world. And as intolerable as shame might feel, the emotion of shame is directly connected to our underlying need to be understood, to be cared for, to be unconditionally accepted and loved. To embrace the emotion of shame, let us see if we can turn toward ourselves in a kind and loving way. Over the course of the next week, before we meet again next Monday, see how often you can explore speaking to yourself the way you would if you were to reassure a young child. And this will help you to allow the most vulnerable parts of yourself to feel deeply cared for. And if you want to know how to do this, you can re-listen to the last part of last week's video, because we walked through and I sort of did a walkthrough on what that might sound like and what that might look like. Okay? So this week, today, right now, what we're doing is we're pausing to honor and hold space for any unexpressed feelings of hurt or sadness that we have ever had. Hurt and sadness underlie our depressive symptoms. Sadness can be thought of as sacred access to your grief. And you don't have to only grieve something that's physical. You can be grieving something that's intangible as well. Okay? You can grieve your childhood, a relationship that you wish were different. You can grieve your innocence. You can grieve anything you wish were different. Anything at all. Okay? Sadness can be thought of as sacred access to your grief. I love that. I'm going to say it one last time. I'm going to say it a third time, okay? Sadness can be thought of as sacred access to your grief. So see if you can look at your sadness with loving kindness. There is a huge difference between dwelling in sadness, which can sometimes turn into self-pity, and then allowing our sadness to move through us. Every emotion we have, including sadness, is meant to be felt and then to subside. So notice if you have a difficult time feeling your sadness or letting it go. Ultimately, for us, a healthy expression of sadness involves allowing ourselves to mourn and grieve our losses and experience the healing power of our tears. So take a moment, glance at your experience over the last few weeks, especially today as we did our recap. Let us notice whether any of this has left us feeling unsettled or upset. And remember, whenever we need to, we get to take breaks. Look at the theme for tonight. Look at the title tonight. We get to begin again and again. We are beginning again and again. We can take a break and begin again. Take a break and begin again. Beginning again and again. Okay? And whenever you have difficulty, please remember that healing CPTSD is always best supported through the compassionate care of a therapist. The depressive symptoms that come along with CPTSD are often the result of accumulated experiences of powerlessness, hopelessness, and helplessness. It often takes time to feel relief from this accumulated pain. I recommend that you continue to replace any judgmental or critical thoughts you have with compassionate self-talk. And likewise, I encourage you to embrace your emotions as a lifelong practice, one that not only unpacks any emotional burdens that you may have from your past, but also helps you to befriend any difficult feelings and emotions you have on a regular basis. We are going to close out this healing strategy next week with one final piece, and that is the healing power of movement. So we're going to glance and do a little recap next week, and we are going to do this healing strategy that Dr. Ariel Schwartz talks about. As part of this healing strategy, it's the part where we stretch, unwind, and uplift. And it will be, we'll complete that together next week. Okay? We're going to end our time together this week with our nourishing meditation with Morgan Harper Nichols. We are beginning again and again. Morgan says, your story is still unfolding. While you weather the reality of a world that moves at an ever-accelerating pulse, may you know that any softer cadence you find, even if it is only a single exhale, it is not a wasted effort. Perhaps every breath will not leave you feeling as if it is building up to something. But in those moments when you have become an enduring guest in your own mind, tirelessly and critically searching for all the ways you haven't been keeping up, may that one breath that escapes you be a reminder of the possibility of a gentle release. And what a gift it is to return to it again and again and again. May these slower tempos find you in the pauses, the gaps, the quieter corners of existence, like a river meandering along its path across the vast plain. Come and be here on the ground. Here is to slower rhythms. Here's to moving through this new space slowly. Starting over doesn't have to start all at once. You are allowed to start over in seemingly small ways, too. A new day may not feel like very much, especially in situations where your routine looks a lot like it did yesterday and the day before. However, there are ways where the sunlight flickers through the morning window slightly differently than it did yesterday. And even if it's not easy to see this or instantly grasp it as a life lesson to carry with you for the day, small opportunities to embrace newness are all around you. This is true even in intangible ways. So please pause, pay attention today if you happen to think of something that you hadn't thought of in a while, and notice how the next conversation you have might change, even just a difference in a word or two from how a similar conversation went the day before. Notice how even though so many things feel the same, there are these small shifts, small examples of something new. And in the moment, they may not seem like much, and even years from now, you're not going to remember all of these small little shifts, but this is what will remain true. You will have lived a life where there were small changes happening all around you. Of course, the larger changes will receive their much needed attention, and at the same time, in the in-betweens, there were opportunities to notice what might be a little bit different than it was before. And perhaps in creating space to notice the small things that are slightly different or new, you can create more room for awareness, noticing where there might be room to begin again and again, to start over even in the smallest way. I honor each of you. I honor your journey. I honor your process. I'm so very grateful. Thank you for allowing me to be in your life, and thank you for being in my life. And thank you for joining me in this process of beginning again and again. I look forward to our time together next Monday and every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. I hope you will be extra kind and extra patient and extra gentle with yourself this week, because you're worth it. And I'll see you soon. Good night, everyone.